Spanish 1, Science and Technology, vocab 6 through 10. I'm going to say each of these words in English, then Spanish, and clap, and I'd like you guys to repeat what you just heard, okay? 6. The email address, la dirección electrónico. The email address, la dirección electrónico. 7. The email, el email. El email. 8. The photograph, la fotografía. The photograph, la fotografía. 9. The photo, la foto. The photo, la foto. And finally, number 10, printer, impresor. Printer, impresor. Now, again, Spanish and English are basically backwards from each other. We say, she said it to me. They would render that, to me it, she said. In English you say tall man. In Spanish you say man tall. So we say the email address. They say the address email. Okay? Now, address is dirección. So if you're telling the taxi cab driver where you want to go and he says, I'm not familiar with that address, you'll have to give me directions. Okay? So we say email address. Spanish speakers say the address email. Notice, words that end in CION are always feminine. Words that end in CION always have an accent mark. This accent mark, both of these accent marks, say, hey, don't stress the next to last vowel, stress me. Again, accent marks help us put the emphasis on the right syllable. Accent marks tell us which vowel to stress. And by the way, accent marks are always over vowels. You will never in Spanish see an accent mark over a consonant, and you'll never see more than one accent mark in the same word. French sometimes has two accent marks in one word. Spanish will never do that. 7 is email. Okay, el email. Now it might be pronounced el email, but either you hear it both. You hear the English pronunciation and you hear the Spanish pronunciation. Just like some of you might have heard that phrase, "That's not my forte." Technically it's supposed to be pronounced. It's a Italian word. It's not supposed to be. That's not my fort. Some Americans will say that's not my fort, and others say that's not my forte. If a word comes directly from another country, it's frequently acceptable to pronounce it either in English or in with the pronunciation of the language from which it comes. Probably more than you wanted to know. Photograph is fotografía. Okay. Now remember. Words in Spanish, 99% of the words in Spanish that end in IA have accents. And you've seen that. Maria, dia, fotografía. And I've mentioned Spanish people will never have a PH in a sentence. There's a PH here, turns into an F. There's a PH here, it turns into an F. There's no such thing as PH in Spanish. You'll never see them together. Now, photo is just photo. Remember, these green letters mean the letters are exactly the same in both languages. So you've got OTO, OTO, and instead of PH, you've got an F. So that's pretty easy, photo. Impresor is printer. A friend of mine loves technology and computers, and he does a lot of neat desktop publishing stuff. And he bought this brand new state-of-the-art printer. And I went over and saw it, and he says, wow, does this new printer impress you or what? Are you impressed by my new printer or what? So printer is impresor. Back in the day, what a printer would do, what the printing machine would do, it would make a dent or an impression in the piece of paper, and then ink would be poured into the indentation. So literally, a printer was something that made an impression or a dent in paper, and the ink would fill in the dents. And we still, to this day, when you look at the new word, the modern word for printer, it still kind of reflects that historical origin. All right, let's go ahead and cover up the Spanish. Give yourself a post quiz. Look at these 5 English words and say the Spanish equivalents out loud, or what I think is a better idea, look at these 5 English words and write the 5 Spanish equivalents down on a piece of paper. This has been Spanish 1, Science and Technology, vocab 6 through 10.